Hello and welcome to the Sonic Fruit Film Podcast, where we aim to celebrate movies through the simple act of talking about our favourites. I'm Bennet Maples, and today I'm joined by the Protean Helen Cogman, film producer and Sonic Fruit's production manager, and by the hugely gifted Mike Stiff, filmmaker and animator. In this episode, we're discussing Jurassic Park, which was not a promotional video for a retirement home as we'd expected, but is, as it turns out, a cracking film. Now I feel the need to go, welcome.
Hello.
To the Sonic Fruit Film Podcast. No, I might cut that out.
That's what you could do. I thought you were saying welcome to us.
Well, I was.
Right. Or was it welcome to the listener?
You know, I then thought I can't do a Richard Attenborough impression.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Well, there you go. That's what I needed. This is probably going to be a hard one to do because it's so good.
And it's been covered, isn't it?
The answer to what's so good about it is pretty much everything. I mean, it's not, you don't really want to pick out the three things that really make it stand out. It's probably the ultimate Michael Crichton-esque material to be working from. It's Steven Spielberg at the height of his career, pretty much. I mean, there were a couple of decades of it, but nonetheless, he was there. It's great casting.
Yeah, I think it was when he'd proven himself, he was the biggest director in the world, and then he was like, right, I want dinosaurs. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, we could do it stop motion. He's like, no, I want to see actual dinosaurs, and that was the thing, wasn't it? That was like, no, I don't think anyone would have had the weight to go, we're going to be spending a lot of money on this and we're going to make it look like real. And I think it still stands up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the way he did it, and there's tricks and stuff. There's animatronics, and then there's obviously CGI. Yeah,
it's a nice blend, I think, which actually gives it that realistic look that later films like the dinosaurs in King Kong, I don't think have anything on the original Jurassic Park T-Rex.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's something very earthy about it, isn't there? I mean, we said it's a director at the height of his career, but it's still a film that probably could have tested anybody. I mean, he could have fallen down on this one and we could have said, well, fair enough, it's a dinosaur film. Maybe that's not what he was cut out to film. But, it seems pretty flawless. And, I mean, you're saying all that. The interesting thing I found about it is there isn't actually that much dinosaur. I mean, it's an hour and a half. I mean, it's good, certainly over an hour and a half. And I think I'm right in saying there's 15 minutes of actual dinosaur footage in the film.
Yeah. And I think that's key, and I think that's something that we've lost today. And again, this has been trodden, but a well-trodden path. But I think when something's hard, it makes things better. Ultimately, now with CGI, you can just do anything like King Kong. I actually really like King Kong, but when you can just do anything, then it actually detracts from what's important, which I think Jurassic World.
Suffers from.
Just swap some names around, and that's the
one of those.
That's what that suffers from almost. It's too easy to have loads of, and there's still good elements there. But what I really like, this is something that I only watched a thing on it about 6 months ago. Stan Winston for the T-Rex. Whether it was Stephen or whether it was Stan, but they basically said, we want an animatronic T-Rex. And they said, okay, well, we can have it move and this or that. And they said, no, we want it to move as fast as a T-Rex would move, or something that big can move. Because before, a puppet or an animatronic puppet will move slowly. Because you think how quickly we move.
Yeah.
You've got to move
just
quick.
Moving its limbs and things.
And if you watch it, then if you watch it afterwards, when they see the puppet and then finally watch the film, it moves so quick and it's massive. And it's not just the CGI, it's that those puppets, especially the T-Rex puppet, it moves so quick that's what makes it realistic. Whereas old animatronic, it's slow, but these things, the pistons that they use inside it were so fast, and it's incredible. It's a really good watch. It's on YouTube, I think. Yeah,
it's presumably an incredible feat of engineering. I mean, it's Stan Winston, so to expect pretty amazing stuff. And it's Oscar winning, which I found quite interesting as well. The Oscars that it won, the 2 for sound, which we'll come back to, obviously. And then the third one for visual effects. But the visual effects are both Dennis Muren and Stan Winston. So it's
good.
It's all of it. They're acknowledging that it's partly physical and then partly computer, because that was the beauty of it.
And they actually went in Jurassic World, they actually did use animatronic bits in places. There's a bit where they run up. There's a herd of dead diplodocus or something, and that's the head of that is animatronic, and
he actually interacts with that, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I think maybe that's why.
And that's nice. I think that's the way film should or is going now. It's almost like a step back. Well, look at Star Wars.
There's an understanding. Yeah, I think there's an understanding that the more you can do in camera, it just is better where you can. Although CG has also got much more flawless, but as you say, you need to use it because you need it, not because you can.
Yeah,
not wanting to misquote this film too much, but just because you can doesn't mean you should.
But I think it's very easy to get something with like Jurassic Park. I think it's very easy to get hung up, which we have straight away. We've gone straight to the heart of CGI, all this amazing stuff. But I think the story of it and what I remember as a child is, well, first of all, theme park, which children know and understand the concept of theme park in Dinosaurs. And I remember there's a shot, and it's kind of towards the end. It's when everything's kind of gone wrong, I think, and Grant is out in the wild with the kids, and it's a shot of Ellie, I think that's her name, Ellie, and I think she's eating and she's talking to Richard Attenborough. But there's a shot in amongst that of the gift shop, and that just, as a kid, really resonated because that's a theme park as a gift shop, with all the branded stuff, and that always spoke to me and always reminded me of the dinosaur park up in Norwich. So at that sort of time, so.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Just waiting for Jurassic Park to come to Norfolk.
Yeah, not quite as mind-blowing, but still good at the moment. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, the thing I do find amazing about it is how well they understand the audience. That sense of you are given everything you want. The pacing is fantastic. It's scary enough. It's it's action-packed. The characters are all there. There's different generations. So yeah, as you say. We jumped into what everybody likes to talk about, which is the dinosaurs, but the people make it, and the cast with such a great script is incredible. I mean, Sam Neill is, I think, also quite interesting casting. Originally, it was offered to Harrison Ford, apparently.
Was it?
Maybe would have been a bit more conventional, and I mean, would still have worked. You can see how Harrison would carry a movie like this, because I guess he can carry a movie. He's one of those guys.
It's been proven.
Yep, but I think Sam Neill's great.
I think so, and in a way it's nice that actually, okay, he's done a lot of other stuff before and after, but he's not as big a high profile as Harrison Ford, whereas he would have swamped the film. His name would have then been a bit like Indiana Jones, would have swamped that, whereas he's Sam Neill, great actor, and he's, you sort of, I referred to him as Grant, whereas I would have referred to him as when Harrison Ford did this or something like that. You know what I mean? He kind of. I
think the same for Richard Attenborough as well. Yeah. I mean, he just owned this role, and it's such a beautiful balance. And he hadn't acted for years before this. I mean, he
sort of dipped out.
I think it's something like 13, 14 years.
He is brilliant.
He hadn't been on screen before this.
He's so good in it. There's just. But for me, I can just scene after scene. But even the opening scene of him when you first get introduced to him, and he's in the caravan, and he's messing about. It's almost like a Yoda sort of thing.
He pops up and the champagne cork pops out, and it's all a bit. Yeah, he is very Yoda-like. He's very kind of like a puppet, isn't he?
Yeah, and it's sort of and there's a joy in that. Then discovering he's probably one of the richest people in the world, but he's just messing about. He's an old man, at the start, and he goes, and then like when he later on, he's like, "You have a T-Rex?" Yes, we have a T-Rex, and he's it's almost that childlike element to him,
Yeah.
And he's a much better, more likable character than in the book, I think. Have you read the book?
No.
I haven't, no.
Yeah, in the book he's a lot more sort of hard hitting. He's out for it to be.
Is he more of a businessman in the book than he is a kind of? I suppose he's a kind of.
A grandfather.
A grandfather who wants his kids to see something amazing, and how he wants everybody's kids to see amazing things. And because I think he says to the lawyer, when the lawyer's saying, we can pay 5,000 a day, 10,000 a day, and people will pay it, but he said it's not just an experience for the super rich. He's kind of he's all about the people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as you say, that's another moment where you do really warm to him.
Yeah.
And then that sense of his realisation at the end that he was wrong and he shouldn't have done it, and that it was somehow inevitable is subtle but beautifully portrayed.
Yeah, with the fleas.
Yeah.
The bit where he says, "Why can't you see the fleas?" but it's all fake, and then she's like, this isn't fake, this is real.
I wanted to give him something tangible.
Yeah. Which is, and that all just works because you're watching a film and you know it's fake, but you kind of, the way they've portrayed it, and I think because of its time where there isn't an element of CGI and there isn't an element of all this glamour, it does feel quite real, but like you see the inner workings with Samuel Jackson stuff, and it isn't like nowadays we'd have all monitor screens everywhere and it would be this massive thing, whereas it's just kind of like computers that are kind of just running, which
there's just a few computers which and it's easier therefore to believe that actually Nedry's character could have overthrown all this, whereas now you think
that wouldn't happen.
That one guy, no, because you've got
a 12-year-old girl,
an IT team of 50 people running a park like that. You wouldn't have one person who knew what everything was.
Which is what and again, like, all the characters are just so, I got like what is his name? The computer guy.
Nedry. Is he Nedry?
Dennis Nedry, who's Wayne Knight, the guy from Third Rock from the Sun.
Yes.
I can't think of anything else I've seen him in. But he's superb.
He's brilliant, isn't
he? That's my least favourite scene, actually, where his kind of death scene, just because it is so well done that it just makes me really sad the whole time. Like, it's just so pathetic.
Yeah.
But it's fantastically done. But he's obviously just a very kind of pathetic character, but without him you don't then get the ensuing disaster. So he's kind of a foil.
Yeah, and he's not, you don't really get the sense that he's evil, is it?
No, I think he's just desperate, which is, I suppose, the way that Spielberg's kind of made all of those characters fairly likeable, in that, which is something the other films kind of lack, because it tends to focus more on InGen's involvement, and they're basically doing it for the money, whereas, like we were saying, Hammond
ultimately the baddie is the corporation who are trying to buy, these specimens from him.
And
that's the face of the corporation.
He's doing,
you don't know. Yeah, he's just making some money off it. I feel my place in this podcast wouldn't be complete without talking about the music, because it's great.
It's so good.
But also because my wife came down the aisle to this, to the theme from this song.
Really?
From this film, which, maybe we should have her in to talk about that. But I should say to people, it's an amazing wedding march. I don't want to try and sing it to you, but it does start, because it starts really ethereally. It just starts with a.
It does, doesn't it?
And it builds beautifully, like a wedding march should. It worked absolutely perfectly, I must say. So. But it's a cracking score. Really, thematically, it's such a. It's a John Williams score. We know we're going to expect that, and he does deliver. The Welcome to Jurassic Park moment on the top of the hill.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's it just puts a lump in my throat every time I watch it, and I must have watched that film so many times now, and I just feel that moment coming every time now. And I remember in the film, I couldn't breathe. When I saw it the first time.
It is so good, isn't it? And I think, and that shot when it's like, welcome to Jurassic Park, and there's the shot of the park, and there are some a herd of, I don't know what the name of them are, that you'd never see later on, but they're feeding, drinking the water, and there's quite a lot of different dinosaurs in there. And I think that's the difference between someone like Spielberg and, I can't remember the name of the guy who directs Lost World.
Jurassic World, Colin Trevorrow.
Is it? The bit that really stuck out for me in that one is that swell and that kind of welcome to Jurassic World. They open the doors, I think, and they push out, and there's kind of, you see the park, and it's this big swell, and there's the swell of that John Williams score. Yeah. But there's not a dinosaur there. No, it's just a park.
There's no sense of drama. And you think you're not sure why they're using that theme at all.
Yeah, and I think they're like, you've been waiting for the park to open, but you're like, the park isn't the park. It's the dinosaurs. It's the you need shots of the dinosaurs in their rightful place.
Well, also, you've said it before in this booth about Spielberg, the fantastic moment there isn't actually. Seeing the dinosaurs is incredible, and you pan up to that extraordinary. You've got a diplodocus or whatever it is above you, but actually it's the reveal. It's Sam Neill taking off his shades and standing up. It's Laura
turning
Dern.
Her head. Because she's looking.
She's looking through the guys, isn't she?
Yeah, it's that holding that back, that moment. We all know it's coming, even when you've watched it so many times. You know that there's going to be the reveal, but it's that holding you back and sort of, go, not quite yet.
But giving you the emotional response is that the sort of license to feel how you're going to feel.
Yeah.
You're seeing dinosaurs for the first time. These guys are paleontologists and they're seeing dinosaurs for the first time. It's really set up so beautifully.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And again, in Jurassic World, which I still enjoy the film, but there's none of that. There's two kids running about, and you just push past them and out of the thing, and you see them at the park. And and it is a weird part of film. I think you want to be sort of told what to think, and you want to experience almost through those characters. And so I think you're exactly right. Seeing their reaction first roots you with them, makes you kind of understand the importance of it. Whereas if you just have a wide shot, first up, nothing, is it? You don't really care.
Yeah, I remember hearing an interview with Robin Williams, excuse me, in which he said that comedy is all about reaction.
Yeah.
That actually, he said, being funny is all well and good, but if you haven't got somebody else beside you who can react well on camera, your jokes are just going to fall flat. But I think it's the same with anything. It's the same with with horror, with awe. You've got to. Your actors have got to know how to set that, and then it's actually their reaction to what's going on which really dramatises that moment.
Yeah, definitely, and that's why the characters are important. And I think in Jurassic Park you do get that. They're all quite iconic characters. The kid, the sister. You understand where their relationship is. You discover little bits as you go along that she's a bit of a geek, and things like that. And he loves dinosaurs. And then then the whole, obviously, Sam Neill's character, Grant, not liking kids. And you've got somewhere to go with all that.
Yeah.
Which I just think is brilliant. And it's good to see that kind of progression. And it's not rocket science, but I do think some films miss that. They're so caught up in the CGI, in the thing. Let's go see a dinosaur. But yeah, you gotta have something. We want to be going on a journey with these characters, which I think you do.
The performances of those kids are incredible. I think Steven Spielberg always does a really good job of actually getting really likeable performances from young children, more so than any other director. I think up until I'd seen that film, I hadn't seen anything really that I could watch children, even at a young age. I think I was 9 when it came out, but I remember thinking, I don't want to watch films with other kids in. But then these two were a bit of a revelation. And
he understands family.
It's all of his films
there's
have
usually
that
a family dynamic. I mean, this is
Yeah.
such an alternative family. You don't have the parents.
It's
there,
usually a dysfunctional family,
but
isn't
you
it?
kind
So
of
this
do,
one is
'cause
kind
that's
of two adults and 2 kids, and they kind of try and go back to that, I think, in Jurassic World, but fail quite miserably.
I know,
It's just no one cares.
You don't care about the kids, do you?
No.
We shouldn't be bashing Jurassic World, but those kids, you just do not care about them, do you? It's weird, isn't it?
No, but Lex and Tim, I think, are probably the sort of two. They've managed to hold, in my opinion, the best scene in the whole film, where they're trapped in the kitchen with the raptors. And it's a scene that actually is a lot longer than I thought it was initially. I rewatched on Saturday, and
it's an incredible sequence.
It goes on for probably nearly 10 minutes, but it's fantastic. And it's sort of, I was trying to pick out where the score comes in to kind of help build the tension, but actually it's just them for most of it, and the score kind of rumbles a little bit in the background, but it's just...
Well, I think you'd have needed score if it wasn't that well done, but you don't need to be told how to feel.
Have the kind of the screeches of the dinosaurs, and there's an excellent bit where the raptor is kind of walking along, and you hear the tapping of its claw on the floor, and you just see the absolute terror in their eyes, and you get, because it's all filmed in a big stainless steel kitchen, you get the excellent noises of all the clattering, and it's really good. And then the kind of climactic moment where she's managed to basically trick one of them into headbutting one of the cupboards while he's locked one in the freezer, I think. And they finally get out, and it's incredible. And the fact that they were 2 sort of young preteen kids doing that, I think, is quite a testament to Spielberg's ability to direct.
Yeah, well, he's gone on to be an absolutely fantastic actor. So, that could have been testament to him, but she hasn't really gone on, I don't think, to do much. I mean, maybe she does theatre, I don't know. But
she was in Tremors, but I think that might have
say.
been... Was that beforehand? I can't remember.
I think she's in before, and then I think she's in after. I think she's grown up a bit, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, that's the only way I know her from. Well, what's he done? He's
in The Social Network.
Yeah.
And he was in The Pacific as well, actually.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have huge parts in either of those, but they're still sort of fairly supporting. But
in both, yeah.
Yeah, he's really, really good. He has quite good comedy timing. There's quite a lot of comedy in his thing, like when he's electrified fence and stuff like that. And even when he does 1, 2, gets electrocuted, all happens, and then he's like 3, and he's completely fried. So yeah, you know, they
for that to be that age as well. I mean, testament to his ability. I don't know if either of you seen Shadowlands, which is Richard Attenborough directing Anthony Hopkins as C.S. Lewis. And he's in that maybe a year later, maybe 2 years later, but because Richard Attenborough had met him on the set of this, so was suitably impressed that he cast him in his own film, and he's extraordinary in that as well.
Oh, right, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a beautiful film.
Yeah.
Great turn from Anthony Hopkins as well. It's one of the...
Yeah.
Maybe he phones it in a little bit these days, but if you want testament to what he could do and don't want to watch Silence of the Lambs, Shadowlands is a great one to go for.
All right, good. I think we have touched on it, but I definitely think less is more, which everyone always says. But I do think it's generally true. As you say, if there's only 15 minutes, I didn't know it was that much, but it's only 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying, because I was taken aback by how little it was, because I would have said, I mean, you can see that it's a really well done film, and you know, as with Jaws, it benefits from not really seeing the monster too much.
Yeah. They utilise the reveals
the
very
scene,
well. You just get an eyeball, don't you?
Yeah, you don't actually see it at all, but that you know what it is, and you know what it can do.
Yeah. And there's so much build-up. You think the T-Rex scene, the T-Rex paddock scene, there's all that build-up of the goat going up and then it not being there, and they're like, you know, and then it's like, you know, tapping on the glass, you know, is there any dinosaurs in the dinosaur park? And then they go off, and then they come back, and then it's raining and everything shuts down, and they're standing there, and then there's like, where's the goat? You know, and that's what you want. And then it's like, then you see the leg of the goat, and then, you know, and then you see a claw, and it's that building up.
So an awful lot of what feels like dinosaur time doesn't need dinosaurs. It just needs you to know what it's a dinosaur film. You know what's there. You know, when we first meet the raptors, they lower a cow into a pen, and the undergrowth shakes. And you know what's going on.
Yeah.
You don't need to see it.
And that's what's good. That's the fantastic thing about a good script, because then you have a person standing there saying, we had 5, and but she killed all but 3. Yeah. And then like she's had them periodically hitting the fences to test the strength of it. Yeah. And you're seeing, you know, and you haven't seen them yet, but you know that's like...
He's such a great character, I think. Is it Robert Muldoon? The guy that Bob Peck plays is just such a voice of complete despair while everyone else is desperately trying to be upbeat. And then I think he's the only one who really died with any dignity, actually.
Well, he gets the clever girl.
He does get the best line.
Which is just such a great moment.
Because I suppose he knows them, whereas everyone else is marvelling at that, at the spectacle of it, and then everyone comes down to his level by the end, which is like, these are creatures. So, so he's that voice at the beginning that actually everyone then ends up becoming,
And the only one with any kind of respect for them, I think.
Yeah.
Which is difficult when you kind of really step back and look at what he's wearing. It's quite an amusing sort of safari ensemble with knee-length socks.
Yeah, you're supposed to know who he is from the out, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I just think it's one of those classics that you just can watch. It's so thick with storytelling. Every scene, you know, where, you know, and like the bit where he's like, there's Datsun over there, you know, with the cake, the cream cake where he sprays it. That's a brilliant scene. And yet, in anyone's other hands, it'd be like, oh, and here's the bad guy, you know, giving over the money, and that would be it. But this is like a great little scene, you know, them kind of, and him like laughing and loving it.
That it's that scene.
It's so
I think
quotable, isn't
that's probably the key. I think what you said there is storytelling. That's why, you know, we can watch it 20 years later, and we'll probably watch it in, you know, 50 years. Well, I won't, but you guys are young. You'll probably watch it in 50 years, and it'll stand the test of time, because it's just great storytelling. Everything else is just icing on the cake.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think it stands up, but even if the CGI, as you know, in a couple of places maybe, but really a CGI and puppetry, it doesn't matter. If it's a great story, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's what just makes it a fantastic film.
On which note, I want to thank Helen and Mike for joining me, and I want to thank you for listening. Don't forget that you can email us via podcast@sonicfruit.co.uk, or you can tweet at us using @sonic_fruit. The Sonic Fruit Film Podcast is produced by Sonic Fruit, with music by Carl Cole and engineering by Jake Kenny and Jordan Brett. For more information, check out sonicfruit.co.uk.